Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you that are watching the replay, welcome. Thank you. Make sure you say hello in the comments and let me know that you have tuned in. And for those of you who are starting to hop on live, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So today I have the absolute pleasure of speaking to Swanette. Swanette guides mission-driven business leaders and solopreneurs to overcome their upper limit problems. She helps them to kick the invisible glass ceiling that is still holding them back from achieving their true potential and working in their genius zone. Swanette, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So why don't you start off by telling people, what is an upper limit problem? For those people that haven't heard that phrase before, haven't heard that terminology, what is that at its core?
Yeah, so we often see that people go into kind of loops or like go to a certain area in their business or in their relationship, and then at a certain point it breaks down. Mm-hmm. So this means that, for example, they can see, okay, they become the CEO of a certain business, and then if they want to reach the next level, like going, for example, from 6 to 7 level, how do I say? I'm this word. Then they feel that, okay, they try to reach it, and then something happens and it goes down again. Or in a relationship, they're very close to a marriage, and then they feel, okay, something happens, the relationship breaks down. And this means that there is a kind of a limit, like an invisible glass ceiling they can't see, but it is there. Otherwise, this loops wouldn't happen.
So they almost go up and they kind of bounce off it and bounce down again.
Yeah. So to say, it is like, if you imagine that there's a glass ceiling and they go up, and then bounce, go down. Yeah. And often it is not clear what is behind. So this can be that, for example, they have blocking beliefs about themselves, or it can be that there are traumas from childhood, or even if you believe in that there are still connections from past life that haven't, energetically connection to this present time, and therefore something happens that stops them from going to another level.
So if we have an upper limiting problem, will that be obvious to us, or at least will we have some kind of awareness of it, that we're striving for a goal that we seem to get close to and then back off from, and seem to get close to and back off from? Will that be the pattern for us if we have this issue in our lives?
Yeah, this will be the pattern, but sometimes people are aware of that. Sometimes they are not. They are just feeling that they are stuck or that they are struggling, but it is not clear for them why this happens. Even though, even though people from outside often can see it, but the person himself is sometimes not able to see that.
Yeah, and presumably that causes a lot of frustration for people as well, and a lot of kind of, why is this happening? Why can't I get past this? What is wrong with me type feelings.
Exactly. So it is this feeling that, okay, I put in so much effort and really try to achieve this goal, and it really feels like it's already kind of in my hands, but then something happens and everything falls apart again. And with that, of course, comes frustration and also the feeling, am I good enough for reaching out to that? Or am I lovable, for example, in relationships? Does he really love me? Am I worthy to reach out to that? Or is it not for me?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if we are experiencing this in our lives, if we can see these things happening, if we've kind of got awareness from listening to you speaking about it and realize, hang on a minute, that sounds like me. That sounds like something that's happening in my life, whether it's in my business or my personal life. What can we do about it? How do we sort that?
Yeah, first of all, is really becoming aware to see the pattern. To see in what kind of situations my life has struggles or is falling apart again and again. So awareness is the first step. And then if you have this awareness to see, okay, what do I believe in this moment about myself? Is there something that is limiting me? Like, do I think about myself, or I'm not worthy to have this job, or I'm not lovable enough that this person really wants to marry me? Or, so understand what are the thoughts you have in this kind of situation that are not bringing you into more flourishing, but are holding you back. This is the next step to understand, okay, there is something. Perhaps you can also see that there are kind of triggers that can remember you in situations that you had before, like, oh, looking into the past, now I had this beautiful relationship, and now when I really fell in love with this person, then everything become stuck, and we broke up. And so it is like, okay, there is a pattern. Perhaps this happened already before, so now I'm in kind of the same situation. Perhaps this will happen again. So seeing, is there a trauma about something that happens in the past, and I believe that this will happen in the future again.
So you're almost preempting the trauma again, to, in some kind of strange way, to protect yourself from it happening again. You almost prompt it again.
Yes, you can say it like that. So do not come into the same situation again, like feeling hurt, or feeling a lot of pain, or even anxiety, or feeling lost. You don't go into the same situation again, but you reject it. And this is often not that people are really aware about these kind of situations, but as soon as you see the pattern, if you go into a kind of a meta position and look, okay, so this happens again and again and again, then you can understand, okay, there is something in my past that hinders me to go on with the future. So, and there's no need that the past will describe how your future shall look like. But if you are in the present moment repeating pattern, then of course you will have the same outcome again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we're trying to explore this ourselves, are there specific questions we can ask ourselves, or is there a way that we can kind of talk ourselves through this to try and identify what the thoughts and beliefs and triggers might be? Or is it just a question of replaying the situation in our mind to try and unpack it?
So one thing is, of course, to go through typical blocking beliefs people have. So there are kind of a list, and you can figure out, okay, is there something that resonates with me? Also, in this moment, when you are in this situation, really feeling into that, feeling into what are the symptoms in your body. How does it feel? Like if you imagine something will happen, or if you are in a situation, what are the thoughts that are coming up, and write them down. See, okay, what do I really think about myself in certain situation? And then, of course, the next step is to use some tools like clearing these blockages, or you can use, for example, tools from energy healing. You can use also reframing from NLP or other tools to solve these and clear these old blockages, and then kind of opening the room with new affirmations to think about yourself, and therefore changing, of course, the outcome.
Amazing. So can you give us an example of some of those typical blocking beliefs that people might have, that they might hear today and think, oh, wait, hang on. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So one that is really, really typical is I'm not enough. And this can mean I'm not enough for having abundance. I'm not enough for having a very deep relationship, for being loved unconditionally. So this is like a main topic. Like, I'm not worthy to be in such a beautiful house. I'm not enough for having living in such a beautiful environment. So like not being enough. And then from there goes like, I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. I'm not the person others would like. And all these kind of things that are around self-worth, self-love.
And does this type of belief then essentially lead to a self-sabotage situation?
Of course, it does, because
Yeah.
it is. We have to start with our self-love, and then, of course, it goes out, and it is me, it is us, it is the world. So from inside out, if we don't feel that we are the ones that love ourselves, how can someone else love us unconditionally? And we also, how can we love someone else? So and have good relationship, and good relationship is not only having a partner, like a romantic partner, but also in the business context and in friendship. Yeah, we always need relationship to other people, for example.
Yeah, and I'm thinking too, with the I am not enough, I am not worthy belief as well, if we take that into a business context, that presumably therefore leads to people not quoting prices fully, or not even showing up on sales calls because they're scared and they don't think they're worthy of the job. It has ramifications in our business for the business growth as well, presumably.
Absolutely. So, of course, if you feel that you are not worthy having a certain kind of job, or getting, if you're an entrepreneur, getting a certain amount of a fee, this has to do with your self-worth. If you show up fully and think, okay, I know that I have my skills and I have my experiences, and I'm worthy for doing this job, you show up differently. And of course, you will have other success with that.
Yeah, and we can absolutely see how, with those types of thought processes, you would come up against this glass ceiling, this blockage, where you get to a certain point and then it's like, oh wait, no, hang on, and you end up spiraling into those beliefs and kind of sitting in those.
Yeah, and you start questioning if you're doing the right things, and
Yes.
even though you are already close to your potential, you will never use your whole potential if you don't believe that you are worthy to stand out. For example, if you're worthy to have success, you always will start limiting yourself with making mistakes or not showing up in your full potential. And this, of course, shows others, okay, it is true that he is not, or she is not as good as she predicts to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and that in itself is fascinating too, isn't it? Because it's not as if we are making mistakes on purpose, for example. This is all very much sitting in our subconscious, and it's almost as if our mind is attacking itself with that, because actually we're doing things that are going against what one part of our brain says we want to achieve, and that is that's quite scary for people, I think.
No, perhaps you can see it this way. We are all creators of our own life, and
Very true.
yeah, so on the one hand, of course, we can create things that are not very helpful for us. But on the other hand, if we understand the mechanism and solve it, then we can create and really manifest what we want to have. And I think it is only really getting aware that there are mechanisms in the background you are perhaps not aware of, because you are not consciously aware of. Your subconscious is, of course, aware of that because it has all the information. Yeah? But this will be a situation where something always happens again and again, and stops the flow you could be in if you would get rid of all the beliefs that are hindering you in your career or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's flip it to the positive side of this. So we said, we can identify the blocking beliefs that we have. And then you mentioned kind of setting new affirmations. How do people do that?
So to see if I have a belief about myself, I'm not worthy. So the opposite would be that I'm a wonderful person, that I'm really worth because I'm already existing, and I can contribute to the world and make a change, for example. So understanding what is kind of the opposite and start telling yourself right that. So it is one procedure, like using affirmation to form sentences that are contributing yourself, that are positive, that are helpful for achieving something more. And you can pin them on your mirror in the bathroom, and every time you go into and you speak out to them, speak them loud out to yourself. So what we normally do is we speak these negative sentences about ourselves. Oh, how can you be so stupid, like behaving this way, or no, you're so crazy doing this kind of thing, and wow, what a decision you made. So we speak sentences to ourselves that we normally wouldn't say to other people, but we say them to ourselves. Yeah, and changing them to the positive will always already tell your mind, okay, yeah, look at this, look at the positive things, look what you already have done. One other thing that I use is gratitude. That every evening before you go to sleep, write down what have you been grateful today. So grateful for the people you met, for experiences you had, for goals you achieved. So different things. What are you grateful for? And with that, you program your mind already during the sleep to change the focus to the positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I imagine some people listening will think, well, that's all great. I can stand in front of the mirror and tell myself I'm worthy, but I know I'm going to have this devil on my shoulder saying, no, you're not. Don't be so silly. Have you seen that thing you did yesterday? Don't be ridiculous. How do we get rid of that thing on our shoulder that is kind of, yeah, exactly, like ping it away? How do we get over that hurdle that I suspect happens for a lot of people, where yes, they're saying these positive affirming words, but actually their brain is kind of, giving them chat back, basically?
Yeah, so one thing is to understand what are the situations where this pops up. And we have the possibility also with some healing techniques to change the emotions that are stuck in the body. Like imagine if you are telling yourself you are so stupid and you are not lovable, and that there will always be an emotion of perhaps sadness with that, or like feeling unworthy and other emotions, and they got stuck in the body. It's really like they'll create clusters, and you can often see already in people like how their wrinkles are. If they are always very angry, they have wrinkles here.
Yes.
If they're always thinking, they have wrinkles here. Yeah, so and if they're smiling,
I'm kind of looking at myself in the camera now. I'm like, hang on, what do I need to?
I can't see any wrinkles. You can see in people's faces also how they stand, like the way that the body is. What are the thoughts and the emotions they do have constantly? And therefore we see that these emotions get stuck in the body, and with that, of course, it starts a certain kind of biochemistry. So for example, if you are angry all the time, then you have a lot of adrenaline in your body, and this will show up in having problems with your stomach. So it is like you have a certain situation, you have an interpretation of the situation, with that comes emotions, with that comes biochemistry, and with that comes symptoms in your body. So this is like what is going on. And of course, we can break it at the beginning, understanding, okay, how can I interpret a situation differently? Because what I sometimes use is a team of consultants that is like Pippi Langstrumpf, gut health, and like you have different kind of personalities. And I ask them, how would you interpret this kind of situation? And you will get really different answers to that. So the way we interpret a situation is just because of our mindset, because of our education, culture, etc. But as soon as you ask someone else, how would you interpret the situation? And you don't need another person for that. You can use figures from whatever, Batman or yeah, you can use other people you could ask, but you can also use figures from movies or whatever, and ask them, how would you interpret the situation and how would you handle them? And you see, you get a lot of different perspectives on the same situation, which means that the first one would say, oh, no, don't care, make it easy, everything will go well. The next one would say, choose wisely, understand what is behind, understand the facts, and interpret that. And the next one would say, just be strong and go through and whatever. Yeah. So, and with that, you get a chance to take a choice what interpretation you use.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for people to understand, is that it is actually a choice.
Yeah, if you are able to put a stop in between the situation and the automatically reaction you will have on that because of your education and everything you had before. If you stop it in between and just give yourself a second and say, okay, if my interpretation is not the only one, it is only one, but it's not the only one. What could be the interpretation of the situation, and what could be reactions on that?
And I think that's really important as well in business when we're dealing with our team or we're dealing with clients, understanding that there are various ways to look at things and various ways to interpret what's happening. And our immediate go-to response is not necessarily the one that's going to get us where we want to get to. It's not necessarily the one that's going to serve us and serve us in our lives the best way.
This is so true. And of course, we will see that also in working in teams, we always have the same struggles again and again with the same people. And this means that there is a pattern below. Otherwise, this wouldn't happen. Yeah. And as soon as you change your perspective and see, okay, if I go, for example, in the perspective of my colleague and try to understand her, how does the situation look like then? Or go into the situation of my boss or the client or the customer. They all have different perspectives because they all have different needs on that. And they come also with their own mindset. Yeah. So one thing could be to have a stop there. But then, of course, if we already have our interpretation, to see what emotions come up with that. So is it something that is a typical emotion for myself that I always go into becoming angry, for example? Yeah. And then, of course, we know the biochemistry and the rest. Or is it possible that I stop also this emotion coming up and see, okay, what other emotion is perhaps below? Why am I getting angry? Because I have the feeling that I'm not seen.
Yes.
Or that I have the feeling that I'm betrayed because this was my job I've done and someone else got the certification for that. Yeah, so what is the underlying emotion? So going deeper in the first up-popping emotion and going deeper and deeper and deeper, seeing what is below, and where do I really end in the emotion? So what is the source of that?
Yeah. And presumably we can do that through things like just talking out loud to ourselves, journaling, those types of techniques.
Yeah, of course. So journaling is one good thing, but also like sitting and really feeling inside. And you don't need a lot of time. You can go 5 minutes and take yourself a coffee and just go through, okay, what is coming up, what next is coming up, and having this inner view. And of course, if you are aware of that, it is always good to journal or document to see if there are pattern or things that happen again and again. So journaling always good, yeah.
Yeah, and this pattern recognition, I guess, takes us back to understanding the upper limiting problem. If we're spotting those patterns, then actually it's all feeding each other.
Of course it is, because if you have beliefs that stop you from doing the next step in the hierarchy, or that stop you from speaking on a stage, or that stop you from being in good connection with your colleagues or with your team, then you would always come to a certain limit and break down again. And this is what needs to be seen, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's speak about gratitude journaling. You touched on gratitude being a part of this and being able to be grateful. I know that sometimes when I've tried gratitude journaling, I've basically wanted to write the same thing every day. I'm guessing that's not part of the plan. And just writing every day, I'm grateful for my children, I'm grateful for my husband. When we're gratitude journaling, do we need to be aware that actually writing the same thing every day helpful, or not really that helpful?
I wouldn't say that it is not helpful, but it goes really to be more aware of the moments we have in our life. So what is a wonderful moment we had during the day that is more specific? And of course it can be with your husband or children or your colleagues, but sometimes it is like having a hot pot of coffee in the morning, seeing the sunrise. And it is especially important that you feel emotions to that. That you really feel, wow, this was such a nice moment. And it sometimes are really little moments. It is not that there must be an hour of gratitude, but it is like a smile of your child, or someone bringing you flowers, or little things, and you really in this moment have to feel it. So it is a kind of a thing that, of course, you write it down in the evening, but also the next time in the morning, becoming more aware. What are the situations I really feel supported? I feel joy, happiness, perhaps I could laugh, or I really had this good moment. And it's more that your mind already starts focusing more on the positive things during the day, so that in the evening you can remember them. Yes. And if you remember them the next day, you have more focus again on the moments that were joyful and happy and pleasant, and you can write down for them.
I love that. I love the increasing your awareness and your focus of the positive things, because I think sometimes we're so busy with our businesses and our home lives and all the things that actually we can fly through the day, and it gets to 6, 7 o'clock at night. I know I'm putting my kids to bed and it's like, wow, what happened today? I don't know. It's just the day is gone, and you don't really focus on, and sometimes you'll be dwelling on the bad things that have happened at that point in time as well. You've been like, oh, I had a bad call here, or, oh, this really annoyed me over here. But actually trying to be more present and aware of those positive things throughout the day, I think can be really helpful for people. So I really like that.
Yeah, and this is something you have to kind of train yourself for.
Yes.
And often we have our focus, what you said, on the negative things, what didn't went well. And for that, you are feeding yourself like, okay, again me. Yeah. So why did this happen to me? And, but if you start focusing on what went well, more things will go well. You'll create more of that. Like, no, where your energy goes or where your focus goes, your energy flows. And this means when your focus is on good things, more of them will appear in your life, or you become more aware of them, that they're already there. And
yeah, and you start to create an upward spiral for yourself rather than that downward one that we spoke about.
Yeah. So, and with kind of every emotion you have during the day, of course, your body is in a certain frequency. So of course there are these lower, you already said it's the spiral, but we often in this spiral down, like being in fear, anxiety, shame. So these are very low frequencies. And with that, we resonate with other situations and other people that are in the same frequency. But as soon as we go over courage, we have like these positive, like love and really being recognized and these kind of emotions that are in higher frequencies, and therefore we attract these again.
I love it. I love it. Swanette, this has been a fascinating conversation. I think we've given listeners and watchers some great things to go away and try in their lives and implement in their lives and for the good of themselves and for their businesses. So I really have very much enjoyed this this conversation together. Why don't you tell our listeners and watchers where they can find out more about you, where you hang out online and all those things?
Yeah, thank you so much. Of course, people can find me on my website. It is spiritual-changemaker.com. Also with my name, Swanette Kuntze, in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Xing, all the social media. And I have a special giveaway, a free gift for your audience. This is a 6-step meditation to create their own vision of life. And there we go in different steps into understanding who they really are, what their vision and their mission is. And I will give you the link. So people, if you're interested, you can have this 20 minutes figuring out your own vision of life and go for that.
Amazing. So we'll put all these links in the show notes for everyone so that you can click on and find out more. And also, if you want to take that vision journey, then you can do that as well. Once again, Swanette, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a really fab conversation, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. Thank you, everyone who is watching. Thank you, everyone who is listening. And I will speak soon to you too. Take care.